California Governor Gavin Newsom went for the knockout punch against Donald Trump during a press conference he delivered yesterday. Before the press conference, he also held an incredible event with former President Barack Obama. But this press conference was a masterclass, how you stand up to Donald Trump, how you speak with moral clarity and moral authority, and what it means to show power and strength against this Trump regime. Watch Governor Newsom right here talk about how we all know that Donald Trump is a broken man, but the people who also need to be held accountable are the sycophants who surround him and allow this to take place. Here, play this clip.
Donald Trump's a broken man. He's trying to break this country. Everybody knows that. But to see people in positions of power and influence do absolutely nothing when they must know better, and I believe they do nothing. Boy, they're going to have a lot to reconcile at the pearly gates.
Then Governor Newsom talks about how Donald Trump's demolition of the East Wing of the White House is a perfect symbolism for what Donald Trump is doing to our country. Play this clip.
The federal government is closed, and Donald Trump has literally destroyed the East Wing of our White House to put his ballroom up for $250 million. We are now days away from eliminating food to 5.5 million Californians around Thanksgiving, at a time when food prices have never been higher because of Donald Trump's policies. Have you had a cup of coffee? Have you bought a pound of beef? At the same time, he found $20 billion to send to a fill in the blank. Maybe he's a dictator. Some have referred to him as that. In Argentina, he's cutting food to people around Thanksgiving. You've seen the lines of people already around the food banks.
Next, Governor Newsom talks about Donald Trump's disastrous tariffs and how it's harming farmers, construction workers, manufacturers, how it's causing prices to dramatically increase for consumers, how everything is far more expensive and less affordable right now. Watch Governor Newsom. Let's play this clip.
We are currently experiencing one of the largest tax increases in American history, with tariff rates that are higher than they've been since the 1930s. A state that is disproportionately impacted by these errant policies by the administration, the $100,000 H-1B visas. No other state more impacted than the state of California. The impacts in terms of the sand in the gear that the president is putting in our university system, the assaults on National Institute of Health, National Science Foundation, and other grants. This is code red from an economic perspective.
Then Governor Newsom holds up the draft lawsuit all ready to go to be filed against Donald Trump and his regime should Donald Trump invade San Francisco with a military invasion. Here's what Governor Newsom says. Watch this powerful moment. Play this clip.
We're going to be fierce in terms of our response. We're going to be focused, and quite literally, this is the lawsuit that I will file within a nanosecond of any efforts to send the military to one of America's great cities, San Francisco, that is enjoying 60% reduction in homicide, or rather homicide reduction that's the lowest it's been in 60 years. It's one of the safest large cities in this country that's experienced an economic rebirth and growth. Only Donald Trump can wreck that. And we will push back with clarity and conviction, and we'll continue to win in court.
And then Governor Newsom talks about the sycophants in the business community and in the media that props up this deeply unpopular fascist Donald Trump and this deeply unpopular fascist regime that the people reject, but how it's being propped up based on this collusive Pravda Russia propaganda state regime style organizations that are taking place. Here, play this clip.
The great thing is you'll have Laura Ingraham on Fox News say, "Well done, sir." Why is Laura going to even be more supine? Well, because she's in business with Don Jr., with a guy who's in business with David Sachs on a new SPAC business, Chamath, who's a partner with David Sachs. David Sachs who runs all the AI. Laura Ingraham now has a SPAC business. Imagine Imagine what your boss would say if you started to do business with me. That's allowed. And she gets to be their spokesperson on the Pravda network. Fox, primetime. This great grift, unprecedented in modern history. Billions and billions of dollars, the great grift. State capitalism, not just crony capitalism. Ask Intel, ask MP Materials, ask folks at US Steel, ask the folks at AMD, ask the folks at NVIDIA. The hell is going on in this country? None of this is normal. You will be seeing on my Patriot site new knee pads that I'll be sending out, the new signature series knee pads for all these CEOs, for the University of Virginia that I'll add to the list today, for bending their knee, for those law firms, the universities, media companies, as this guy's rolling back, rewriting history, putting us back to a pre-1960s world, censoring historic facts. Wake up, everybody. Wake up.
Then Governor Newsom posts the following from his press conference. He writes, coming soon, new knee pads for all the CEOs, universities, and GOP bending the knee to Donald Trump. Your knees look very sore from all your groveling. They will even be signed by your dear leader since you love him so much. You are welcome. Watch this clip. Let's play it.
You will be seeing on my Patriot site new knee pads that I'll be sending out, the new signature series knee pads for all these CEOs, for the University of Virginia that I'll add to the list today, for bending their knee, for those law firms, the universities, media companies, as this guy's rolling back, rewriting history, putting us back to a pre-1960s world, censoring historic facts. Wake up, everybody.
And then Governor Newsom talks about how he called to service the California National Guard on Wednesday and mobilized the California National Guard not to invade cities, but to support the people of California, to provide aid in the form of food and potentially medical assistance, as Americans could potentially be starving to death and losing critical services as a result of Donald Trump's government shutdown and the destruction and devastation that Donald Trump has caused to the United States economy. Watch this moment right here.
I had them down at the border. Hundreds of them have been at the border for years and years, well before Donald Trump came into office. That's how we use our National Guard. And they also were part of our food bank operation during COVID. And they were exceptional because they're logistics experts. That's what they do. And they worked with Cal Volunteers, and we have that established partnership. And I'm very worried about 5 million people in a matter of days losing food stamp, losing their SNAP benefits, and entering in a grocery store with Donald Trump's tariffs and inflation, and trying to reconcile that price of beef at a time when literally everything that should be up is down and everything that's down is up. And so we're going to make sure we protect their food insecurity, address their food insecurity, and make sure they're protected and feel safe in that process. And that's what I think we should use the National Guard for. Not this folly, not this nonsense, not this the vanity project to show strengths, not for a video, which is exactly what this Hexic guy and J.D. Vance were trying to do when they were shooting military rounds over a freeway, over civilians, and the first round exploded.
And then Governor Newsom made this video. It's like a selfie video before that press conference. And he says, breaking, Donald Trump is sending federal agents to San Francisco. We know his playbook. We know what's next. Watch. Here, play this clip.
This is right out of the dictator's handbook. Donald Trump does this over and over again. He says he's going to send in the National Guard to address uncontrollable crime rates, which are fictitious. But first, he needs to create conditions for anxiety. He needs to create the conditions that he can, quote unquote, then solve for. So what does he do? He sends out masked men. He sends out Border Patrol. He sends out ICE, creates anxiety and fear in the community so that he can lay claim to solving for that by sending in the Guard in the first place. This is no different than the arsonist putting out the fire. We need to call that out, and we cannot play his game.
Ever wake up sweaty, freezing, or just uncomfortable? The temperature in your bedroom can make or break your sleep. That's why I switched to Miracle Made sheets. They're inspired by NASA technology and use silver-infused temperature-regulating fabric to help you sleep perfectly all night long. Miracle Made sheets are crafted with NASA-inspired silver-infused fabric that helps regulate your body temperature. Hot sleeper, cold sleeper, it doesn't matter. These sheets help keep you in the comfort zone all night long. Thanks to their antibacterial silver technology, Miracle Made sheets stay cleaner and fresher up to 3 times longer than regular sheets. That means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. They feel just as good, if not better, than sheets you'd find at a 5-star hotel, but without the steep price tag. Smooth, breathable, and ridiculously comfortable. Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use promo code Meidas, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make an amazing gift. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. That's trymiracle.com/Meidas, code Meidas at checkout. Thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring this episode.
So then earlier in the day, Governor Newsom and former President Barack Obama held an event together to bring more attention to Prop 50. That's the ballot initiative coming up. Make sure you vote early, by the way, if you live in California, if you're a resident of California, to temporarily redistrict California in response to the election rigging by Donald Trump in Texas and other red states. The California measure required a 2/3 of majority to get on the ballot in the first instance by our California legislature. And then it requires a vote by the people. So the people are involved in this process, unlike the red states where the maps are being drawn literally at Mar-a-Lago. The special guest that Gavin Newsom brought on was former President Barack Obama. I want you to watch what former President Obama had to say. Play this clip.
The problem that we are seeing right now is that our current president and his administration is explicitly saying that we want to change the rules of the game midstream in order to insulate ourselves from the people's judgment. They want to change around the maps, not the way it's always been done every 10 years after a census. They want to do it before any election in which they're worried they might lose. They want to tinker around with it to see if they can give themselves an advantage. And it's brazen. They're not pretending that there's some other rationale to it. They're simply doing it because they think they can. And in those circumstances, I could not be more appreciative of the work that Governor Newsom and the people of California are doing in saying, stop. This is not how American democracy is supposed to operate. And that's what Prop 50 is about. And it has critical implications, not just for California, but for the entire country.
Then Governor Newsom made a number of very, I think, important and powerful posts yesterday on his social media accounts. From his official governor account, he says, Donald Trump and his GOP Congress's refusal to end the government shutdown is ripping food benefits from families in need across America. California is filling the void, rushing tens of millions to food banks and directing the California National Guard to support their efforts. So Newsom deployed the National Guard and fast-tracked $80 million as shutdown halts food aid. Governor Newsom writes, California has seen enough. President Trump and Stephen Miller's authoritarian playbook is coming for another one of our cities, and violence and vandalism are exactly what they're looking for to invoke chaos. Help keep yourself and your community safe. Remain peaceful. Then the Department of Homeland Security posted more Nazi propaganda, and I like that Governor Newsom said this is Nazi stuff. Pure Nazi dog whistling from Kristi Noem, and that's ironic given her track record with dogs. Governor Newsom then posts this image right here, this meme where Donald Trump is looking at the Argentinian person with beef on her face as the American cattle rancher says, "Where's my beef?" Because Donald Trump wants to now bring in all of this beef from Argentina and then screw over our ranchers here. And then Donald Trump posted, "Our ranchers are rich because of me. I've saved them. Our ranchers don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to bring in Argentine beef." Governor Newsom then posts this article. Newsom calls up Guard for food bank mission. The troops will be on a humanitarian mission, not acting as law enforcement, the governor announced. And then Governor Newsom writes, Trump's failure isn't abstract. It's literally taking food out of people's mouths. This is serious, this is urgent, and it requires immediate attention. And then Governor Newsom posted the following message. Trump and Miller's authoritarian playbook looks like this. 1, say you're going to send in the National Guard to a democratically run American city. 2, lie about the crime rate of that city. 3, send in federal agents, have lapdog bloviating Bovino show up for the cameras. 4, create stress and chaos with ICE and Border Patrol randomly roaming the streets. 5, use the chaos you create as an excuse to send in the National Guard and use the military against American communities. We've seen it before, California, and there's no doubt we'll see it again. And I just want to share this with you. This is from Governor Newsom's address that he made yesterday with former President Barack Obama. Shout out to MeidasTouch's Adam Mockler, who's just been incredible. How great is Adam Mockler? Really the voice of Gen Z right now out there. Great work, Mockler, who did the introduction and hosted this event. Great work, Mockler. Governor Newsom said the following. I think this is very, very important for you to see here. Play this clip.
This is a profound moment. The president just yesterday, right there in the White House, with the destruction quite literally behind him, talked to members of Congress and openly said what we already knew. He's going to lose the midterms. He recognizes that most presidents, incumbents, are likely to lose those midterms. He recognizes that. Of course, he recognizes the obvious. He's underwater in every single critical issue. American people have expressed themselves very clearly in terms of discontent with this administration and its policies. So he knows he's going to lose, and that's exactly why he's trying to rig the election. That's exactly why we need to meet this moment, in the words of Adam. And so we're doing that, not with an op-ed. We're not holding hands. We're not having a candlelight vigil. We're not doing a white paper. We're not showing up at a conference. And, oftentimes I'll say this, Democrats tend to do that and talk about our moral superiority and what we could or should be. We're actually doing something more meaningful. We're fighting fire with fire. We're not fighting with one hand tied behind our back. And we move forward in a way that I don't think the president or members of Congress expected. And that is we move forward by putting the maps, not only through the California legislature with 2/3 of their support, but now in front of the voters in the most transparent and democratic way possible. It will be the first maps ever to be in front of the voters in the United States of America. It's temporary, it's transparent, and it's democratic. These are not maps that were, dare I say, the pejoratives, drafted in Mar-a-Lago. These will be drafted, in essence, by the people themselves on November 4th, just 13 days from today. The election started a few weeks ago. It ends on November 4th. Early voting is already taking place. We're seeing some pretty extraordinary numbers of early votes that have already been cast, people sending back in their mail-in ballots. But I'll just end on this by reminding you how precious this moment is and why we can't run the 90-yard dash and why we're all here together. Because we have work to do in the next few weeks. It's a special election after all. It's all going to be about turnout. And I'll just remind you of who turned out when we kicked off this campaign, because it really reinforced the chilling nature of the stakes. We could talk about January 6th and President of the United States trying to light democracy on fire, trying to wreck this country. But we're seeing it happen in real time on an hourly, not even daily basis, it seems, with new news that comes out the White House and the president's mouth on Truth Social. But for me, the chill was being there at the Democracy Center with 2 U.S. senators, a dozen members of Congress, hundreds of community leaders, many of you perhaps that are joining today that were there at the sacred site down in Little Tokyo in Los Angeles, where we were interning the Japanese, where they were being bussed. And Donald Trump sent out someone who's become a familiar face, this guy Bovino from Border Patrol with masks on. Masked men showed up right in front of the rally before we kicked off to intimidate and chill free expression, to intimidate people from walking into our event. A poor soul, guy selling strawberries, was collateral damage, who happened to be in the area. He was just released. He disappeared. He was just released. I said it a few months ago when 4,000 National Guard were federalized, 700 active duty Marines were sent to the second largest city in the United States, not overseas, that this was a preview of things to come. And you're going to likely see members of our military in and around polling booths and voting places all across this country. Well, I would say the same about ICE and Border Patrol. And I say that soberly with the expectation we'll be seeing those images here in San Francisco in a matter of days, like we're seeing in Chicago and Portland and all across this country. And so, again, forgive the long-windedness. I just want to reinforce the sobriety of which we convene and the nature of this moment. And just end on this. You have the power. You have the power with Prop 50. You have the power to restore checks and balances. You have the power to stand up to people, stand up for people that have been bullied and threatened by this administration. You have the power to save our democracy. And so I'm grateful to all of you for exercising your voice, for recognizing you can shape the future. The future is not something to experience. It's something to manifest. It's our decisions, not conditions.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you, and have a wonderful day.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.